There's a lot not going on these days, but this is Tech Talk Tuesday. I don't have any idea how many it is. Monica says that they are posted on YouTube, that she takes one every week when I record it. I go live and I record it, and then I email it to Monica, and then she downloads it to YouTube, and I think it's something like Star Race GA. I don't know exactly, but I'll do better trying to find that out and let you know. So if you guys miss this, we'll be able to have you watch it. Also, I usually will remember to take this time and I record it on my phone, and then I will download it to the Star Power page on Wednesdays, if I can remember. But hey, I see lots of names popping up on here. Jimmy and Jeff and Dwayne. Hey, Jeff. I know Jeff's bored to come on here and watch. He's usually working on a racetrack pretty hard. Hey, man, look at overseas. Lee, Kenneth. The old Fast Vic man from way overseas. Must be past your bedtime, Kenneth. That's really nice to see these names come on here. Some guys I miss. Some people are on here silent, so we can't keep up. So we don't see. That's all right. I don't mind sharing. I mean, it's going public, and it's live, and if you want to watch it, that's cool. If you want to watch it later when nobody's looking, that's cool too. I'm cool with that. I'm just thankful that the good Lord gave me a communication skill where I can get on here and tell y'all some stuff that I've learned over the years. There you go, Star Racing 6X. That's one of them. That's good. That will definitely connect us right there, Dave. Thank you for sharing that. Who has the official Facebook time right now? Thomas Goss. Hey, man. Brian. Get a stool over here. What's our official Facebook time? Somebody tell me. Hey, John. There's some fast guys on here, man. RJ. I mean, some fast. I see some names come across here, and they mean big power, big money, big information. Thankful for y'all. I have a few little subjects I want to go over and spend a minute on. I want to talk about clutch and shifting and RPM tune and gas. And these subjects kind of overlap a little bit. I have a few of them that I'd like to cover. Jesse. You know, it's funny where there's some car guys that race or have hot rod cars, and they're all into that, and that's wonderful because I am too. That's one of my best hobbies in the world. I see a lot of drag racers, motorcycles, car racers. I see round track racers. I see engine builders, Harley Davidson riders and fans. One thing that I do know that all of us that click on here is they're Star Racing GA. You're right. I think they're the same thing with two different people were trying to put it together. Bless you guys that are in the front, man. Back when we were growing up and I was in high school, man, my friends were getting sent off to Vietnam, and they were on the front line, and most of them didn't come home. And, that was a long time ago. Most of the people that are up these days don't even know what was Vietnam. I mean, that was just a war, but front line today is the people that have to go to work every day and deal with everybody no matter where they've been. And you guys, may God bless the front line and you healthcare workers and our first responders. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're on here, you know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you guys. Brad, I see Paul and Tommy. I see Mark, the fastest man with an 8th mile pro mod bike that runs quarter mile. He does really good with that, man. That's pretty awe-inspiring. Does both. We talked a little bit about how to do that gearing and stuff last week, and Monica says she posted it today onto the YouTube page or our site. And the clutch deal I want to tell you about. The clutch is, I want to try and get everybody to get on the same page with me about a clutch. I have people that say, I would like to race a motorcycle. And I say, well, do you drive a stick? And they say, what do you mean? I said, it's got 3 pedals in the floor. Oh, I'm not talking about a car. I'm talking about a motorcycle. I said, yeah. Well, there's not many fast motorcycles that don't have 3 pedals or 4 pedals. I mean, you got the clutch. you got the throttle, you got the brake, and you got a shifter on this side on your foot, and this side you got a brake. That's pretty much how motorcycles are. But on car racing and driving cars, the 3 pedals in the floor, man, what a great time that was. Today in 2020, that's almost a theft deterrent now. Somebody can break in your car and get it fired up and look down and see 3 pedals, and they don't even know how to go. I believe if you're going to be really good on racing a motorcycle, you should be able to drive a stick car, because the brain, the part in your mind, is the same, trying to pull in the clutch or push in the clutch, put it in a gear with this foot or with this hand on the shifter. And for you guys that drive on the wrong side of the road, the shifter might be over here. I don't know. But being able to process that information of RPM, clutch speed, and the vehicle speed, and the RPM of how fast you're going, and the speed of the car, and the speed of the motorcycle. Those, when you drive really good in a motorcycle, and please forgive me when I say drive a motorcycle, because a lot of us ride them, and a lot of people, and I know there's a lot of guys that just ride in cars, but look, if you drive something, that means you are almost in control of it. So, you know, when somebody says, I want to, like a cup car guy, he says, I want to ride next year. I don't want to hire somebody who's going to ride in my race car. I don't want to hire somebody who's going to ride my motorcycle. I want somebody to drive it. I want somebody to get in, take control. I want somebody to sit on the motorcycle, take control. And when you win races and go really fast on a motorcycle on the drag strip or on the road course or anywhere in the dirt on a motocross or wherever you race your motorcycle, you want to be the driver. And the driver is the opposite of a rider to me. Yes, you ride a motorcycle, and we're going to have an argument. This is just my opinion, and my standard preface is all of these are not the laws. These are just my opinions. So when you go and get on a mechanical bull, you ride the bull. And if you go and do the what's the name of that deal that he did? He wrote 7.8 seconds on that bull. I mean, he was riding that bull, and you're hanging on for dear life. Look, if we're in control of a vehicle and we're in control of a machine, we're not hanging on for dear life. If we are, we need to do some training and some practicing. So let's talk about driving. So when you drive a car or drive a motorcycle and it's got shifters and gears and clutches, please try and understand a little bit what this unit right here does, this clutch, okay? People want me, they send me emails and they send me these questions and they send me private messages and they say, talk about clutch tuning. Well, if you ride a street bike, this is how we tune a clutch. We disengage it and we engage it. You can disengage it and throw it, or you can disengage it and slide it. But if you want to have a slick and wheelie bar and you want to hold the clutch in and floor it and put it on the rev limiter and then throw the lever, you want the clutch to slip for you so the engine RPM will come in smooth. Get in a car. Let's say you can go get you a new Mustang and it's got a 5-speed in the floor and it's got 3 pedals on the floor. Put it in first gear and hold the clutch in and get your foot on the gas pedal and rev the engine up and pop the clutch as hard as you can. The car will cut off, okay? Unless you floor it. Got the clutch in, give it the gas. Pop the clutch, the car goes. All right, how do you drive away good? You rev it up and you ease the clutch out and you ease the gas down. Same thing you do on your motorcycle. Pull up to the traffic light on your Kawasaki, your Ninja, your Busa, your Gixxer 1000, or your Harley Bagger, Street Glide, Road Glide, Sportster, Dyna. Sit at the traffic light and hold the engine at 3,000 RPM and pop the clutch. The clutch will hook up 1-to-1. The RPM of the engine and the RPM of the transmission will be 1-to-1. One of them's going to cut off. Either the transmission's going to go or the engine's going to cut off, or the back tire's going to spin, or the chain's going to break, or the compensator's going to break, or the clutch is going to slip, or it's going to throw the belt off the back, or the back tire's going to spin, it's going to go sideways. You have to have a fuse. Our clutch is a fuse. I know I've said this before, but listen to me. You don't pop the clutch. I look every day. I saw Iron Man was posting another broken Milwaukee 8 compensator. And then what's the cure for that? What's a Harley Davidson warranty for a broken Milwaukee 8 compensator? Do they tell you to put a solid sprocket on it? No. They tell you to put another compensator on it and quit driving like that. Okay? The next thing, the clutch, okay? The clutch is supposed to slip. It's a fuse. You ever had a fuse blow in your car or your motorcycle or your stereo or something in your house? You blew a fuse. Well, the circuit was overloaded, and you tried to put too much power through it, and the wire got hot and it blew a fuse. Or some component got hot and it blew a fuse. The clutch is our fuse between our engine and our rear tire. Our engine and our rear tire. I'm going to move this over just a little bit so we can have engine RPM going this way, and then we have the clutch going this way, and then we have the output, and then we have the rear wheel. On some Harleys, this is all in one shaft. But on most anything, we have the engine RPM, the clutch RPM, input, output, and then we have the rear wheel. All of these are rotating. If you rev this up and pop this will cut off or this will spin. Okay? That's not really great analogy, so I will erase it and act like it never happened. Everybody following so far? All right. We want to slip the clutch. If you had a pro stock car, we watch on TV, and they roll in and stage like I talked about week before last, and then they floor the throttle, and the engine's on the rev limiter, and then they pop the clutch as hard as they can. The clutch slides so that all these shafts get to the same speed. Shifting. There was a shifting weight, and all my magic markers all rolled one side. Shifting. Why do guys speed shift Harleys? Why do y'all speed shift Harleys? It ain't faster. It's slower. You rev your engine up to, I don't know why and where you rev it up. Why do you shift at the RPM you shift at? Tell me why. I see the guys every time we go to the racetrack or they're going down the street, they're going, So what it looks like when I see a on-bike video or in-car video and a guy speed shifting, they rev the engine up to the red line. Tachometer's over here. I'm going to get over here. They rev up all the way over to the shift point. And when they get to the shift point, they have the throttle wide open, and they pull the clutch in. So that means the engine's going rev limiter, rev limiter, rev limiter. And also you did a lot of work to get your clutch hooked up when you left. So why would you disengage it again and disengage it again? If you're going to drive like that, if you're going to shift your car like that, if you're going to shift your motorcycle like that, at least let off the throttle. Go floor it, clutch, throw it, floor it, clutch, floor it. Or get you an air shifter that has a power interrupt or some kind of electric switch that will interrupt the signal to the injector or the signal to the coil, because you need a power interrupt to shift to the next gear. Now, back to the why do you hold it to the rev limiter and then pull the clutch in with the throttle wide open. There's nothing fast about that, you guys. Love the sound effects. Hey, that was my cheerleader in high school. Hello from the mountains. Kenny, Randy. Yeah, you heard it before. Harley probably sounds better than that, but that's all right. We used to speed shift our cars back when we were in high school. We used to hold the throttle to the floor, and we would hold the throttle pedal down, and we would hit the clutch as hard as we could, as fast as we could, while we yanked the shifter. And you know what? The clutch would slip. So we would go straight out to the speed shop, Honest Charlie Speed Shop, or go to the Harley shop or the Kawasaki shop, or Brock's or MRE, or somebody that sells some really cool clutches, AIM or Scorpion, and I don't want to say all the names and miss some. I'm Bandit and some of the other guys that make the really cool clutches, but they sell you something to make your clutch stop slipping. So what it is, I call it's straight wiring. It's getting rid of the fuse. So if your clutch slips when you go to the drag strip, and then you put a modification in that stops the clutch from slipping. Now we're going to break something else because the fuse is gone. Have you ever had it blown a 10 amp fuse in your car or 15 amp fuse and then put a 50 amp fuse in and it burns up the wires, or you put a double the size fuse in? That's what you're doing when you put a lockup on a clutch, or you're putting heavy duty springs in a clutch, or you're changing to different plates in a clutch, is you are taking the fuse out of the picture. Please remember the clutch is made to slip. It is a fuse. It saves parts. It makes you faster. Your engine RPM, there's a range at the track when we're running where our engine goes fast. It's in between this range. It might be, this is the bottom of the shift, this is the top of the shift. So you want to rev here, shift back to here, rev here, shift back to here, rev here, shift back to here. If you speed shift, which means hold the throttle wide open and fan the clutch, you're going over here, and then you're going to slip the clutch. You're going over here, then you're going to slip the clutch. And I'm going to outrun you every time. Why do you shift? Your engine turns, say, 6,500. Why do you shift at 6,500 and hold the clutch, throttle wide open, and slide the clutch? Pull the clutch in at full throttle, and the engine over revs. So you're tearing up parts. You're not going fast. You're tearing up parts. So the guys that are, like myself, okay, I'm not going to be able to do it right here while we're while we're driving on this board right here, and I'm driving this information to you guys if you're still listening, because I did ramble there for about 4 minutes. I'm trying to be a little bit more concise. I put a little pressure on my shift pedal. I let the clutch out at the starting line, and I'm going, and the clutch is hooked. Now I got the throttle on. I put a little pressure under the foot pedal of my shift lever, and I pull up hard right when I get the rev to my shift point, and I crack the throttle at the same time I pull up. And that sounds, if you do it right, it sounds like you have an air shifter on your bike or an ignition kill on your bike. But you have to be really fast with the throttle. It's like, And this, over here, the clutch stays engaged. It's faster. It doesn't tear up parts. If you want to try it, you can try it. I wouldn't do it at part throttle. I wouldn't do it driving slow. When you're driving slow, you're going to use the throttle smooth, and you're going to use the clutch smooth. You're going to use the throttle smooth. You're going to use the clutch. When you're driving slow, or when you're trying to keep from throwing your girl off the back of the bike, you drive smooth. But when you're racing somebody, it's like all of a sudden we went from really intelligent people to mindless morons. Sometimes we act like when we're going, bah, bah. Yep, there's those sound effects again. Anyway, makes you go faster, makes your stuff last longer. And the RPM, several different parts about this, you guys. The RPM is like when you tune your bike, if you're using an auto tuner, or you never go to the dyno, or you don't have any feedback on where you're making power, then you must make a lot of runs at the drag strip in order for you to know what RPM you shift at, because everybody's horsepower curve looks like this. Everybody's horsepower curve is low, is peak, and is over revved. Now, over rev doesn't mean that I'm tearing up parts. It means I'm past my peak. So we watch a guy that will rev it up to here, shift, come back to here, rev it up to here, shift to here, rev it up to here, shift to here. And then I'm going to outrun him 2 bikes in every gear, 2 more bike lengths in every gear, because I'm going to go over here, come back to here, I'm going to come over here, come back here. So I'm revving over here, shift, over here, shift. That's past peak horsepower, but it's not over revved because we have control of the engine parts. Now, if your engine is tuned to have max RPM at max horsepower peak, then it needs some work. It needs tune-up work. It needs engine work, because you want to go through this range. Most dyno sheets that we see on the internet, go on the internet and look around at the dyno sheets for the fast Harleys, and it has a horsepower curve that looks like this, and it has a torque curve that looks like this. I'm off the screen again, my bad. But it peaks at the end of the run. 99% of the dyno sheets, they cut the dyno off when it reaches peak. That's fine. That's fine. That tells you what your peak horsepower is. But what if it goes... I'm going to move this over so I can do a better job. What if the dyno sheet would show you this? What if they kept going? What if they didn't shut it off at 6? What if they revved it to 7? What if the dyno goes up? What if there's another 20 horsepower over here? How would you know? Probably got too big of a cam in it if it peaks at 7,000. Because where you want to operate just past peak horsepower. You want to be peak here and shift here. If you don't dyno it and you use an auto tuner, how do you find out that information? Where's your rev limiter? Well, where do you set your rev limiter? It's a good question. I don't know where people set the rev limiter. I know where I set mine. I dyno the motorcycle. I'll find out exactly how much power it makes at every RPM, and then I adjust my shift points to stay more area under the curve. In other words, I don't want to run here and then shift back over here and then run here and shift back over here. I want to run it till it peaks and falls over. Run it till it peaks and falls over. Go faster. A couple bikes in every gear. And also, you don't flare the clutch every time you shift at the RPM you think you should. And how would you know if you're auto-tuning or not getting a good dyno printout? Pete. Hey, Pete. You got a fast bike, too. Courtney. Hi, y'all. Hey, Kelly. How many of y'all are watching this while you're driving? If you are, you're probably listening more than you're looking. Don't look at me because it's just some writing on a board. Pay attention where you're going. All right, I got a few minutes left. So, I got gasoline down here. In power. RPM. Now, yesterday I tuned a really fast motorcycle. Makes a lot of power. It's a big inch Milwaukee 8, and I made 160 horse and 160 foot-pounds. It was square. Made the same on both. It's really going to be a lot of fun to ride, but it was pinging. So I pulled timing out. And it's pinging. I pulled timing out. So I added fuel, pulled timing. So I started recording the data while I was dynoing, and I paid attention to where the knock sensor would kick in and pull timing, and where it didn't and where it did. So then at that point, I go back and look at my timing curves and my fuel curves and try and figure it out. And from my experience, which I've got hundreds and hundreds of dyno time, I'm not the best at it. I'm not the smartest guy that dynos. I'm not the smartest guy that builds engines, but I have a really good combo platter of a lot of ingredients, of a lot of dyno time, a lot of racing time, and a lot of experience in engine building to understand the relationships between the cam timing, the compression ratio, the octane of the gasoline, and the load, map load. Excuse me. Hang on. I poured a little water down the wrong pipe. Okay. This gas RPM power deal. So I drained all the gas out, and went to the gas station, put fresh 93 from Chevron, put it in the bike, and went back and ran it, and I got no detonation. I got no spark knock. So we turned the timing up 2 degrees at a time, and it didn't ping at all, because it had a pretty late intake closing on the cam timing, and it has only 10.8 to 1 compression ratio, so it should have been able to make between 160 and 170 horsepower on paper, on the board, on the drawing board, with 93 octane gasoline. Well, come to find out, we had some really old gas that the guy had in his bike, and that's my fault for not changing over to fresh gasoline, but I thought for sure he would have good gas in his bike. But hey, it only made 80 horsepower. Now it makes 160 horsepower. So we doubled the output of the machine and expected the same old gasoline to make the power. Well, it doesn't. So there's a lot of power left in this motorcycle now because I can put some aggressive ignition timing to it without spark knocking. The point I'm trying to make, you guys, this right here, we pull up to the pump, we stick in the credit card, pull it out, type in whatever, pull the nozzle, hit the 93 button or the 91 button, wherever you are, we put it in the bike, let it off, we put in 4 or 5 gallons, and then we go about our way. If it's spark knocking, if you've got the stereo turned up and you got an open face helmet or one of those bucket helmets, you're not going to hear it spark knocking. And there's several reasons of spark knocking. The gasoline could be really poor. The tune could be really poor. You could have a really short duration cam and high compression pistons. You could have the engine could be so hot in the air outside, like driving around at Daytona in the summertime or in Atlanta in the summertime, where it's 100 degrees ambient, and you're getting superheated air through the throttle body and the engine, and it's already ready to spark. It self-ignites when it's under pressure or heat, or a little bit of pressure and a little bit of heat, or a lot of heat and a lot of pressure. It's going to ignite, and we want the spark plug to light it when we want it to, because then we have control. Like, we're not riding the motorcycle or riding the bike to see what the gasoline gives. We're actually driving by building a plan and sticking to it and trying to put the right amount of gasoline in. But one thing that happens that I see all the time is the first guy, if there's 4 or 5 of you riding, the first guy pulls up to the 93 pump. It's got a long hose on there, baby, about 20 feet long. And the guy was just in front of you. He had 87 going in his car, and another guy had 87. And so you pull up and you put the card in, and you get to unhook the pump, push the 93 button, and the 20-foot of hose dumps at 87 right into your motorcycle. So if you're only getting 3 or 4 gallons, you might be getting 50% or 20% 87 octane right in there when you thought you were getting 93. So if it's spark knocks, listen to you guys, let off. This is going knocking. Knock. You can hear it clicking, like it sounds like rocks rattling in a can. Roll off the throttle. Drop a gear. You're in high gear going 40 miles an hour, and you floor it, and it starts pinging. Let off the gas, man. If it's your bike and you're paying to get the engine worked on, don't tear it up. Go fix it, but don't tear it up. Drop down out of 6th gear into 4th and get up some speed. Get the load off of it. The higher the load, it superheats the gas in the air in the combustion chamber, and it lights off before the spark plug tells it to, and we're spark knocking. So that's what I'm telling you. You got to run. You need to let somebody else let the stock bike guy go first and get all the 87 out of the hose and all the 89 out of the hose when you put the 93 in. You want to be the second or third guy. If the gasoline's pretty hot coming out, you got the wrong stuff, man. You need nice, cool gasoline going out of the hose into your motorcycle. And it's possibly could be some 93 if you've got a little further down the line than the other guys. Okay. Yeah, 1 gallon of what was ever last pumped. Let your buddies fill first. Yes, that's exactly what I do. Okay, so look, gasoline, octane. Why do we get octane? And I've said this before, but it's very important. Octane is not for making power. 100 octane fuel does not make more power than 87 octane fuel. But you can build an engine that will run and make more power with 100 octane than with 87. But 87 octane gasoline does not make less power than 100 octane gasoline. This is the detonation resistance. That's what the octane is. 87 is a number like 1 to 10 that says this can handle maybe 87% of the engines. This one maybe can control the detonation or resist detonation on maybe 100% of the engines. This doesn't have anything to do with those numbers, 87 and 100. That's another whole story I'll tell you one day where the octane numbers come from. But the higher the octane gas allows you to build engines that can make more power. So if you're going to have a 200 horsepower engine and you want to run on 89 or 93 octane gasoline, I'm going to say you can't do it. Has it been done? Yes, it has been done. Am I going to sell it to you? No, I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm going to sell you an engine. And I lose jobs. The guy says to me, I need 170 out of my Milwaukee 8. And I said, what kind of gas you going to use? I'm going to stop at the gas pump. I said, where you live? I live in California. I live in Colorado. I says, well, I can't say that. Why? I can only get 150 out of that gasoline. What? But such and such, and Joey Mucknuckle or Busterface or whatever it is over there on the internet's got these kits where they make all this big horsepower. But yeah, they do. But it's not going to run on the gasoline you want it to run on. So we have ratings in our shop. All right? If you want the most powerful engine that we can do that will run on 93 octane gasoline, we can make if we try really hard, we can make 160 horsepower, normally aspirated on 93. Okay? We can make about 160 horsepower. If you want 180 or you want 200, we can make way more than that. We can make 400 horsepower out of the V8 twin. We did it on our Pro Stock bikes. But we had to be so careful. We have 50-to-1 compression ratio, and we turned the engine 10 to 11,000 RPM. And in order to keep it from spark knocking, we had to tune it way back. Mud knuckles, boy. Hey, Lana. Hey, David and Matt. That was so fun. But I'm just saying, there's a rating there. So racing, like if you have a race car or a racing motorcycle, you put racing gasoline in it. It's not because the gasoline makes more power. It's because your engine will not operate well on high test 93. Does that make sense? All right. Try making power at 7,000 feet. My brother, you just don't know. I got trophies over here from Denver, Colorado. I don't know, there's 5 or 6 of them up there. And the corrected altitude was 10,000 feet. And we would take a motorcycle that would go 670s at Gainesville, and we'd load up and go to Denver to race the Pro Stock class, and we would run 720. It was 4/10 slow and 5/10 slow on some cars. So, I mean, yes, I understand you got to have both. You got to have some good gasoline. Oh, and the pressure was so low in the air, and the pressure was so low in the engine, we didn't make as much horsepower. Therefore, they don't offer higher octane gasoline there because there's no need for it. Last thing I want to cover with you guys is this C19. That's not gasoline. That's my little code for COVID, the virus, okay? My family, I got family here that's my Jackie's mom and dad. I've been with them for 40, 50 years. They're 89, 90 years old, and they are very, very vulnerable to virus. Nana, Jackie's mama, we had a big wreck in the car, like killed all of us about 2 years ago, and she had 10 broken ribs at 89 or 88 years old, and it took her a year to recuperate, and her lungs were punctured, and she got pneumonia. She had to have a ventilator, and I know I'm a downer right here, right now, but we can't let her get near any kind of virus that could inflict or mess with her lungs or her blood where we take the blood and the oxygen comes in and puts it in the blood. That's what our lungs are for. And all of our organs, every part of our body needs oxygen. And the only place we can get oxygen is through what we breathe in through our lungs and have that translated and transferred into the bloodstream. COVID-19 is the most misunderstood and most, we got so many conspiracy theorists. I am one too. But I'm going to tell you what's going on right here. My friends that are watching this right now, I see their names. They work at hospitals, and they have meat trucks parked out back, refrigerated trucks. I'm telling y'all, that's not for meat. That's for dead bodies. Also, I talked to a friend yesterday. He said they double-bagged a few of them, about 6 of them one week. And they are here, near here. Look, Albany, Georgia, and our county, and Albany, Georgia's county, right here at Star Racing Power, we are the hot spot of the state of Georgia. There are more people dying per 1,000 here than there are in New York City, per 1,000. So look, you guys, everybody's mad about staying at home. Everybody's mad about wearing a mask. And everybody's mad that we can't go to the races. But look, the races are cool. But the only way a race can happen is if we have spectators. And we cannot ask people that are youngins, that are immune to the virus, or the ones that won't get sick to the virus, all come there and visit and hang out and transfer all this bacteria and all this stuff to each other, and then take it home to Nana and Grandpa. And every one of you's got a Nana and Grandpa at your house. And if you don't care about yourself getting sick, that's great. That's your choice. But please, somebody's going to hand it to you, and you're going to take it to somebody you love. Please think of that. It's not just for us. We don't wear the mask to protect us. We wear the mask to keep from spreading it. I wear a mask when I go to the grocery store or to the gas station because I don't want to get it and I don't want to give it. I clean the gas pumps off. I bring the wipes. When you bring your motorcycle here, we work every day here at Star Racing Power, you guys. We're working every day. We're in full quarantine. You can't come in. You can't visit. We hate it because we have a place, a show place. We love to show our place off. We love for our customers and friends and clients to come and see our place. But I'm telling you guys, drop your motorcycle off outside. Call me on the phone. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make a plan. I'm going to hand you a baggie, one of them Ziploc baggies. You can put the cash in it. I'll take it to the bank and let them put gloves on and count it, okay? But I'm just telling you, right now, we are going to stay quarantined as long as we have to in order for this thing to nose over. Just like I told you on the dyno sheet. This whole thing is just like this power curve. Okay? We're right in here. We're almost at a shift point. Please don't speed shift over here with all the virus spreading by pulling your clutch in at full throttle. That's a dumb analogy. But let this nose over. Let this nose over, and then let's be careful from now on. When I see you, I love you. I'm going to hold my heart, and I'm going to wave at you. I might bump my elbow if I believe that you hadn't been around any stuff. But I want us to live long enough to keep racing, y'all. Don't get mad. Don't get mad when we can't go to the races. Think about it. I was just a few weeks ago before it hit hard, I was in Nashville with my daughters, 23-year-old Julie Bennett. We were stuffed in like sardines in there at the hockey game. And it was fun, and everybody was screaming and yelling. It was awesome. And then all of a sudden I found out people are taking the viruses home that they got from the guy next to the guy. And he wasn't sick, and his friend wasn't sick, but the virus was in him, and he took it home, and he got his parents sick. And then the people next door got sick. And it spreads, y'all. I'm sorry. Please just be a little more patient. As Americans and as the world, as motorsports enthusiasts, we have all done a great job of keeping this thing from detonating. The power's going up, and we want to see it nose over. And if it goes up too fast, it's going to be a long time before we can get back over here. I love y'all. Maybe 10 years from now I'll hug you and kiss you, but right now I'm going to be proud that I know you and I love you, and y'all look after each other. And please make sure that we do our part to stop the spread. And yes, we can go to the racetrack, and we can rent the track, and we can put our helmets and leathers on, and we can wear masks, and we can wave at each other and appreciate each other, but we just don't huddle up and pass the virus on or the germs or whatever we have. And to our loved ones and our old ones that are in our family that we've loved forever that are hanging on for dear life, and we need to make sure they stay safe, okay? Thank y'all. Praise the good Lord. I am thankful for y'all watching. I'll talk to y'all next Tuesday. Stay safe.